Hello and welcome to Sit Down with the Chief. We're here with editor Richard Steyer to discuss the apology Deputy Police Commissioner John Miller offered in a 20-year-old case in which a Daily News columnist said a woman had made up a rape accusation to publicize a rally. Recent DNA testing identified her attacker. Richard?
This was something that took place in 1994. Mike McAlarry, the Daily News columnist and police reporter extraordinaire, had basically quoted sources saying that the woman might be looking to perpetuate a hoax in order to drum up publicity for a rally that was being held in Prospect Park opposing violence against lesbians. It was something that, in hindsight, appears to have been generated by the fact that a couple of detectives weren't happy with the woman's attitude when they drove her through Prospect Park looking for her attacker, and she got upset because they seemed to be stopping any black individual in the park, even though they didn't match the description of the attacker as she had given it to them. And it's a peculiar sort of thing for cops to do something like that in a situation like that just because they weren't thrilled with her attitude. She had some justification, and beyond that, she was a rape victim. She was upset about it, and so that the fact that she was questioning why they were stopping these other people in the circumstances should have been understandable. McAlarry was someone who relied heavily on police sources. One of those sources was John Miller, with whom he used to go out drinking and dining along with the police commissioner, Bill Bratton. And Miller has admitted that he spoke with McAlarry about the case, although clearly he wasn't McAlarry's only source on it. But McAlarry wound up greatly embarrassed by the fact that people at his own newspaper, the News, circulated a petition. About 30 of them signed it, including some top reporters, in which they said that it was disgraceful what was being done to this woman's reputation, and that the Daily News owed the woman an apology as well. The News did not apologize. The case went to court, and the judge basically dismissed the lawsuit that the woman had filed based on the fact that while McAlarry might have gotten the story wrong, that he was doing it based on good faith advice from his sources. The case surfaced again back in 2013 when there was a play made written by Nora Ephron called Lucky Guy, based on McAlarry's life and untimely death at the age of 41, starring Tom Hanks. And Martin Garbus, the attorney for the woman, wrote a letter or an op-ed piece in the New York Times complaining about the play, while it did focus on that incident, not giving it enough consideration in evaluating McAlarry. And this is something that other people have argued, and he was sharply criticized when it was revealed, in fact, that she had been the victim of a serial rapist who is already serving 75 years in prison for the rape of 4 other women. And one of the arguments that is made is that McAlarry exposed the brutalization of Abner Louima as a kind of redemption. I am not inclined to think of it that simply, because McAlarry tended to go after stories with a passion. That was the way that he always operated, and when he was convinced that injustice had been committed, that he would do everything he could to root it out. He first really made a name for himself by exposing corrupt cops in the 77th precinct in Brooklyn, and while he was very close with a number of cops, he wouldn't hesitate to point out when somebody was doing something that they shouldn't have been. But it's clear that he jumped the gun on this, and as Tom Robbins, the person who had drafted the petition, pointed out, that when he was talking about her as a possible hoaxer, he wasn't exposing some rotten politician. He was basically shaming a woman who claimed that she was raped, and it turns out claimed it with good reason. It's one of those complications that you're going to have to deal with in terms of evaluating people. But it is a lesson both to McAlarry, who's not around anymore to do anything about it, and to John Miller, who people would say belatedly apologized, that it should have come a long time ago, however much credit they may give him for stepping forward now and saying it, that you've got to be very careful when you are branding somebody a liar in a case like this, we don't have any definitive reason to be able to say that. You're doing it based on the opinion of a couple of cops who didn't like a person's attitude.
Thank you, Richard Steyer, and thank you for watching Sit Down with the Chief.